levels set up?
Yeah, it looks all good. Okay, so basically, my position is that I'm not super well versed on this, but my position is that Israel should not have initiated its offensive in Gaza. So this is a retrospective position. I'm not saying that they should stop now. But the reason for this is that the extensive loss of Gazan civilian lives, to me, just seems to massively outweigh the relatively low number of Israeli civilian lives that will potentially be saved.
Yeah, so how many Americans died in World War II before they actually joined the war?
I don't know. Well, I guess none or very, very little.
So it was about 1,000 when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. That's what initiated the conflict. You want to know how many people the Americans ended up killing?
Probably would have been.
Innocent civilians? It's about 500,000.
Wow.
So, are you against America's involvement in World War II? Because there's a disproportionate amount of lives lost?
No.
Yeah, so who the fuck cares then?
All right, let me just think about that for a minute. Well, I suppose you could potentially make the case that in World War II, if America didn't intervene, then the number of American lives lost could have been much, much higher than 1,000.
Okay, and if Israel didn't attack Hamas, Hezbollah, and other Iranian proxies, you could assume there would eventually be more Jewish lives lost, correct? Because Hamas would still have operational capability. They'd still be launching rockets into Israel. They would still plan on jumping the border and attacking Israeli civilians. They would still be getting support from Iran. Iran would also still be able to give support to Hezbollah. And they'd also be able to funnel weapons and support through Syria. And Russia would also be able to funnel weapons to supply Hamas and Hezbollah through Syria.
So I do agree.
So that would defeat.
I do agree that there would be an increase in Israeli lives lost. However, I'm just not convinced that the increase would be enough to justify.
Oh, okay, right. So the Israeli government should figure, you know, it's okay if, there are frequent terror attacks where, 1,000 or so Israeli civilians die. We're Jews. We don't really deserve to live. So I guess we just have to live with that. Is that the position the Israeli government should take if something like that were happening to the United States? Should the United States say, who cares if American citizens are experiencing these terror attacks where 1,000 or so of us are dying, like in 9/11, over 1,000 people died? There's no need to go over to Afghanistan and hunt down Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. Why would we do that? It was only a terror attack where, over 1,000 civilians died. That's the position that countries should take?
Well, I don't believe it is the case that there are frequent terror attacks in Israel where over 1,000 civilians died. I don't think that's a common.
Yeah, that's
position.
right. Usually when terror attacks take place, it's only bus bombings where, maybe 30, 40 people die. So no big deal, right? It's only 30, 40 Jews. It's not like, Jews matter, right?
Well, I think it's terrible, and if you could snap your fingers and just eliminate Hamas, that would be great. But I don't think it's worth eliminating them at the cost of 30,000 Gazan civilians have been killed.
Okay, so you're telling me if the United States were going through something similar, where Al-Qaeda every so often is able to pull off these huge fucking terror attacks, where 1,000 or so American civilians die. And again, every few weeks or every few months, they're able to do bus bombings or something where they can kill 20, 30, 40 Americans all at once. You're telling me it's not worth it to go after fascist terrorist regimes? Because think of the little children. Like that's your argument?
I mean, well, again, like obviously, I think all of these attacks are really sad, but like I do think you're overstating the amount of Israeli civilians that have killed. So, like only 27 Israeli civilians were killed by rockets from 2004 to 2014, and that's
Yeah, that's
27.
rockets. Hamas, yeah, and that's due to the Iron Dome, which is insanely expensive. Israel had to spend, I think, $500 million in a single fucking month before the October 7th attack. So, like, the Iron Dome is ridiculously fucking expensive. It's not even 100% effective. And that's why you don't see as many Israeli casualties. If the United States had to deal with those sorts of fucking expenses, if Al Qaeda was stationed in Mexico and Al Qaeda was launching rockets into Mexico, and the United States had to spend that kind of fucking money, $500 million in a single fucking month, just to deal with rocket strikes. Do you think the U.S. would tolerate anything like that, or do you think they'd actually do what Israel did and have an invasion into the country to deal with them once and for all?
I suspect the US would not tolerate it. But like I,
Can you give me one country that would? Do you think Iran would tolerate that if Israel was doing that to Iran? Do you think any fucking country on the entire fucking planet, the UK, Ireland, Sweden, Russia, like any fucking country on the entire planet, if they had to deal with that kind of problem that Israel's dealing with, they would tolerate that and just say, oh, well, only 27 civilians have died from these rocket attacks, and we're only spending billions of fucking dollars a year to maintain this defense system. And, only occasionally do we have, mass amounts of civilians, 1,000 or so, that end up dying in a large-scale attack. We usually only have to do with occasional bus bombings every few weeks, where, 20, 30 people die. Would any fucking country on the planet ever put up with horseshit like that?
right. So I can just agree that like no country would do it. However, like
Oh,
my claim is not
weird.
that.
Okay, but we're supposed to do the moral fagging and tell Israel, "Oh, you can't do that. Sure, you're getting killed by terrorists, but you can't go into another country and stop terrorism," when we would never tolerate that. None of Israel's neighbors would tolerate that. Not a single fucking country on the entire planet would put up with that bullshit. It would be totally justified and expected for them to invade a neighboring country or region and deal with the terrorists.
Okay, so,
But
so
for
can I
some
clarify
fucking
something there?
reason, Israel's an exception, and they have to be put to a higher moral standard than every other fucking country on the planet.
So let me just be clear that like my claim is not that Israel is like doing anything worse than another country would, and it's my claim is also not that for other countries it would be justified. I think that they would take the same actions as Israel, but I think on the face of it, it looks like they would be just as wrong in doing so.
No, that's some gay-ass retarded pussy shit. Look, you are a cucked fucking bitch if you think that way.
Okay.
If you think fascism and terrorism is acceptable and we should appease terrorists, let our own citizens and countrymen die because there's a fucking fascist regime that wants to exterminate an entire race of people, and you should just put up with that because, oh, innocent civilians could die. Well, then I guess the United States should have never entered World War II. We should have just appeased Hitler and capitulated because, oh, innocent civilians could die. About 500,000 German civilians died over the course of World War II. I don't know how many Japanese. I'd expect it's, again, close to 500,000. Yeah, civilians die in fucking warfare, but if you're going to tell me we should tolerate fascism, we should tolerate genocidal fucking regimes just because civilians could die, then you're just a cucked bitch. That's exactly what they want. That's what fascists, that's what terrorists want you to think. That's why they're posting all this bullshit on fucking TikTok saying, "Oh, children are dying," and this is why it's getting pushed by the Chinese Communist Party too, because they want you to think that, so that fascism and terrorism can spread, and these genocidal fucking regimes can do whatever the fuck they want, because weak, limp dick pussies like you will say, "Oh, but think of the children," and then they can kill you, they can kill your family, they can kill and destroy everything and everyone you love and care for, because you're too much of a weak bitch to actually take any risks and crack a few fucking skulls to create peace.
Well, once again, I'm not really convinced that the World War II analogy is appropriate because the cost of lives was so much higher, right? Like, the Germans killed like 6 million Jews, you know? That's very different to, 27 rocket attacks and a few hundred other suicide bombings, which are, of course, terrible, but the scale is
buddy,
entirely
Hamas
different.
wants to exterminate all Jews from the planet.
So I definitely agree that that's what Hamas wants, but I'm not convinced that they will be able to do that. Perhaps, like, maybe if you could tell me,
they would, buddy, they would.
Okay.
If we listen to people like you, oh, Israel can't invade. Israel can't retaliate against terror attacks. Israel can't strike Iran. Like, how long do you think Israel would be able to exist if after terror attack, all these countries neighboring Israel, fucking Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, all of these countries wanted Israel to be fucking destroyed. If Israel listened to bullshit like this, "Oh, but think of the children. Oh, innocent lives could be destroyed," they'd be completely fucking wiped out.
Okay, well, so for me to concede, basically, I'm not really convinced that it would pose a threat to Israel if they just focused on defense. But if you can maybe convince me that Israel would be under like a very serious threat if they didn't invade Gaza, then like I would agree with you.
So, this is the mindset that people had when they tried to appease Hitler. This is the mindset a lot of idiots have right now when it comes to Putin. "Oh, just give him territory, he'll stop. Just give Hitler Poland, he'll stop." They never stop. These are fascist dictators. These people literally claim they love death. You have fucking imams that are giving sermons saying, if you go to war and you try to kill a Jew, it is impossible to lose, because if you kill a Jew and you're victorious, then you have succeeded in killing a Jew and you've achieved glory. If you die, then you're a martyr and you'll go to heaven and get 72 virgins. These people are radical, insane whack jobs, and they will do everything they can to exterminate every fucking Jew on the planet. You have entire fucking nations like Iran that are dedicated to destroying fucking Israel. Again, they can play this long-ass fucking game because they have an entire population that's radicalized into thinking they have to exterminate Israel and kill every fucking Jew. They can just breed, create more and more fucking children. They will do terror attack after terror attack. And they'll try to, and Iran will keep trying to fund these terrorist proxies all over the place. They'll try to entice other countries like Egypt, Jordan, to join in and go to war with fucking Israel. And, like, this idea, "Oh, well, it's not a threat right now." Was Hitler a threat in the 1930s? Was he a threat to the U.S.? Was he a threat to Europe back then? No, people kept like fucking Chamberlain. He said, "Oh, let's not go to war. Imagine how many lives could be lost if we went to war with Hitler. Let's just try to like be nice with him and just say, okay, you can invade that one country, but just stop there." This is the fucking mindset that leads to dictatorships, totalitarianism. This is exactly what fucking Iran wants. This is exactly what Hamas and Hezbollah wants. They want people like you to promote this idea. Oh, well, there's not that much of a threat to Israel. Oh, there's not that much of a threat to Europe. Let Putin take some of Ukraine. Like, this is the mindset that just leads to more and more fucking horseshit. So why in the hell would any of us put up with this fucking horseshit? If look, if you care about fucking innocent lives, then exterminate the fucking terrorists. They're willing to play a long game. Okay, these people are creating more and more generations of children that they're indoctrinating into a Nazi fucking death cult where they're just going to keep killing more Jews. If we play this long game, oh well, they're not an existential threat to Hitler. Well, over the course of, decades and decades and decades and generations, you're going to get children that are told to kill Jews. They're going to wear suicide vests. They're going to do all these terror attacks. And over the course of those decades, you're probably going to see more innocent lives lost than if you just deal with the fucking problem now.
Okay, I have two things to say, if you can just give me a minute. So the first is that I'm not really sure about the appeasement analogy, because let's say Hamas took land from Israel. I think Israel would be justified in taking that back. But more importantly, can you maybe just clarify your position a bit? It sounds like you seem to think that if Israel doesn't attack Hamas, then in the future, Hamas can join forces with Iran, Jordan, etc., and then in the future they would become an existential threat to Israel. Is that correct?
Well, that's already happened before. That's why there was the 6-Day War, where Israel was at war with Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon all at the same time. So that has happened. And again, it's unlikely. There's the Abraham Accords, but it's not like any of these countries necessarily like Israel. They've just learned that Israel will defeat them militarily, especially when they have support from the U.S. And they've just realized it's in their interest to play nice. Iran, because of their leadership, they have this. They're just run by crazy radical Islamists, and they're just funding other crazy radical Islamists in Palestine and in Lebanon and Syria to try to kill Jews. I don't see a likely future where these other neighboring, I don't see a likely future where Egypt kind of switches sides and tries to attack Israel again. That is possible if, again, cucked bitch-ass pussies who watch too many TikTok videos, like you, try to convince the U.S. population that, oh, Israel isn't our ally, they're a genocidal fucking regime, and it's totally unjustified for them to defend themselves. They should have never invaded, Palestine. If we create a cultural problem like that, where everybody has the stupid, dumbass opinion, and all of these neighboring countries around Israel realize they don't have U.S. support anymore, imagine how fucking easy it would be to run out Israel's resources. Again, they had to spend $500 million in one single month on the Iron Dome just to repel missiles from Hamas and Gaza. One single month alone, just from Hamas and Gaza. Well, imagine if they had to go to war with Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and possibly also Iran and Syria all at the same time. They may not be able to have a decisive military victory within a short time frame, but they could drain Israel's resources over time, kind of like what Russia's trying to do with Ukraine. And if Israel ends up not getting any international support, and again, they are running out of support from almost every country because of this dumb bitch cuck shit where, oh, is like Jews don't deserve to live. It's not a big deal if they suffered, a terrorist attack where 1,000 of them were fucking killed. Yeah, fuck them. Oh, they're invading fucking Gaza after Hamas slaughtered over 1,000 of them. Yeah, we're not going to support Israel. That's a genocide. Their only real ally left is the U.S. So like this fucking stupid idea. I don't know what to fucking tell you, dude.
Okay, well, let me just clarify. I definitely don't think Israel is committing a genocide. I really don't want to associate myself with the people who say that.
Then why? Then why in the fuck? Like, dude, look at all the fucking people who are spinning this narrative that Israel should never have invaded Gaza. They are all anti-Semites. They're all claiming fucking genocide. What are you doing on their side?
Well, I'm not saying I'm necessarily on their side. Maybe I just share some of their positions. But my position is pretty tame. Like, I'm not even saying Israel should stop. I'm just questioning whether this was a good idea. So
it was a great idea. They were able to massacre fucking Hamas. They've completely destroyed Hezbollah operationally. There's also a collapse of the Iranian regime, and they've been able to wipe out Iranian targets in Syria. So now they can't smuggle arms through Syria. So now if Iran wants to support any of their proxies, they're going to have a much fucking harder time doing it. And it looks like they're going to be able to wipe out Iran's nuclear problem and create a regime change.
Okay.
So it seems like a great idea to me.
Like, I just said that so you don't get, the wrong idea about me. But so I just want to go over some of the points you raised. Do you think that in the future they could become an existential threat? And you raised a couple points that interest me. So it's like is it $500,000 or $500 million a month that the Iron Dome costs?
They, I think in the month of September, they had to spend $500 million on the Iron Dome.
Wow.
It was, I think it was like a month or two before the October 7th attack. It was $500 million on the Iron Dome because of the sheer amount of rocket attacks.
So then would you say that because of the cost, it's not like possible for Israel to just play defense, or it's not like reasonable to expect that?
It's not reasonable. If the United States had to, deal with if any country had to deal with those sorts of costs, why wouldn't you just wipe out the fucking problem?
Okay, I'm just writing that down. So it's not reasonable to expect Israel to pay $500K a month, $500 million a month in defense.
That was a particularly bad month. Again,
up to 500 million.
Hamas was like, this was a big plan of Hamas. They wanted to try to wipe out as many of Israel's resources as possible. This was leading up to the October 7th attack. Usually they don't have to have those sorts of expenditures with the Iron Dome, but the Iron Dome is remarkably costly.
Okay, and you also, would you happen to know what the average monthly cost is? It's fine if you don't.
I don't know what the average monthly cost is, and I imagine it varies widely. If they don't have to use it, it's way cheaper. If they have to use it, obviously, depending on how much they have to use it, it ends up being way more costly.
All right, and then you also said Israel is running out of support. Could you maybe expand on that point a little bit?
Yeah,
please?
So the UK, I think the UK at this point is refusing to supply Israel with arms. Canada has also stopped arms shipments, and our bitch-ass Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he's committed to arresting Netanyahu if he steps foot in Canada to comply with the ICC arrest warrant, because he's a fucking moron. So they're running out of support from every ally in Europe. the U.S. is really their only real arms supplier.
Well, is like not giving them arms the same as like not supporting them? You know,
Yes.
if we're running this like what I'm interested in is like, can Israel just play defense, right? Like if all they're doing is playing defense, then they wouldn't need arms, right?
Well, if they're like again, then Hamas will still exist, and then Hamas is going to keep attacking them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I guess that's kind of a dumb point because they would need arms in the case of like Hamas attacking. Um. Okay. I guess that like the main thing. I mean, like, so there's sort of 2 points. It's not reasonable to expect Israel to pay up to $500 million in defense, and the Israel is also running out of support from European nations. So they seem to they seem to be points that contribute to this question about whether Hamas could become an existential threat. But I'm not sure that they alone are enough to like determine that. So I wonder, like, is there any other way you could convince me that in the future, if Israel doesn't go with
I
these
already
attacks?
outlined this. So Iran wants to destroy Israel. That's part of the reason why they're creating a nuclear program, because they want to kill all the Jews. The Iranian regime is ideologically opposed to the existence of Israel because they're crazy Islamists who just want to create a worldwide caliphate, and they particularly hate Jews, and it's because of the Prophet Muhammad. They're supporting terrorist proxies throughout the Middle East. They've supported ISIS, the Taliban. They support Houthis in Yemen. They support Hezbollah. They support Hamas. And again, Egypt was not friendly with Israel. Neither was Jordan. Neither was Lebanon. They've only Egypt ended up becoming friendly with Israel after they went to war and they made a peace deal. Same with Jordan. Same with the Lebanese army. So, if there was a political change where we have this dumb bitch cuck opinion, like you, where, oh, well, Israel's killing innocent people because they want to protect their own population just like every other fucking country would. Let's stop supporting Israel. If Europe, if the United States, if all of their major arms suppliers stop supporting Israel, all of these fucking countries, including Iran, Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, if they do not have any kind of moral or political interest in supporting Israel and being friendly with them, all of these countries could end up attacking Israel. And if Israel has no foreign support, then yeah, that would be an existential threat to the existence of Israel.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. Like if all these countries ganged up on Israel, that would be really bad for Israel. I mean, that much kind of seems obvious. So you mentioned like Iran wanting to destroy Israel with
Like, by
nukes.
the way,
Hmm.
I think there's a bigger problem here. Why the fuck does Hamas have to be an existential threat?
Well, okay.
Like, was Al Qaeda an existential threat to the United States? Like, after Al Qaeda attacked the U.S. and killed, 1,800 American citizens on 9/11? Was it bad for the U.S. to go after Al Qaeda? Like, Al Qaeda was not an existential threat to the U.S. They're not going to completely topple the U.S. government. It's just not going to happen. But the idea that if your country has the ability to wipe out terrorist regimes like Al Qaeda, why the fuck wouldn't you?
So that's a good point. It's not that Hamas has to be an existential threat. It's just that they have to be a threat large enough to justify all the civilian deaths that are caused from this invasion into Gaza from Israel. Does that clear that point up? Like,
Okay, so 1,200 civilians dying, their commitment to commit more October 7th attacks until every single Jew on the planet is exterminated, the amount of terror attacks that have dated back since the formation of Israel, that isn't reason enough to wipe out Hamas.
well, I mean, that's why existential threat came up, right? Because you mentioned their charter wanting to destroy Israel. But it doesn't have to be an existential threat. It can just be about whether they're a severe enough threat. So you mentioned Iran wanting to destroy Israel with nukes. Obviously, a problem. Could you maybe clarify, like, how will destroying Hamas in Gaza lead to Iran, not wanting to do that anymore? Is it just like a deterrent, or?
Iran doesn't want to have to go into direct conflict with Israel. They don't want to have to use nukes. They don't want to have to actually go to war. Part of the reason is they're broke and their military fundamentally sucks, and they wouldn't really be able to afford something like that. They also know Israel would get support from the U.S., and if the U.S. Joins in a war with Israel against Iran, it would literally be over in a day. So that's why they're supporting terror proxies. Israel has attacked Iran's nuclear program. So they've already done that. They have committed mass sabotage against Iran before, and they are pursuing attacks against Iran to demolish their nuclear program.
Okay. Okay. Let me just summarize that. So basically, Iran wants to destroy Israel with nukes, but they're broke. So instead of a war, they funnel their money into Hamas.
Well, again, they ideally wouldn't want to have to resort to that.
Right. So instead of a war, they support Hamas, and therefore, if you destroy Hamas, Iran will not be able to attack Israel because they're broke.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
If the only way to attack Israel is through a direct conflict, they're probably not going to resort to doing that because of the massive amount of risk involved.
All right. So yeah, right. If the only way for Iran to attack Israel is with direct conflict, they won't do it. So basically, Israel would be safe from Iran if they get rid of Hamas. Okay. All right. So let me try and summarize what we have so far. Okay. So basically, when it comes to like how much of a threat Hamas could be, if we zoom out into the future, we could imagine them. Well, okay. So my issue with this Iran question is like, I mean, Iran is funneling money into Hamas. You've just said they won't attack Israel themselves, but with the current level of what Hamas is doing in Israel, doesn't really seem severe enough to justify these 30,000 Gazan civilians.
Yeah, buddy, over 1,200 civilians were fucking killed on October 7th, and Hamas committed to more and more October 7th until the State of Israel was exterminated. If this happened to the U.S., if Al-Qaeda attacked the United States on 9/11 and they committed to more terror attacks, are you telling me, oh, well, innocent people could die if the United States attacks Al-Qaeda?
Okay, so this...
Look, if you're fine with thousands of innocent civilians dying, then I don't know what to fucking tell you.
So okay? I'm definitely not fine with that.
If you're cool with yourself or your family members or your loved ones dying in terror attacks, and you think that should just keep going on and on and on indefinitely because you think direct warfare would result in civilian casualties, then there's nothing else for me to tell you. You're a fucking pussy. And you're retarded.
Okay, so I'm definitely not fine with that. And I agree that Hamas wants to commit more attacks like October 7th. I'm just I'm not sure they would be able to. Like, why do you think they would be able to replicate October
Right.
7th?
After 9/11, how would Al-Qaeda attack the United States ever again? There's more airport security than ever before. Let's just let it go.
Well, I mean, that doesn't
Like,
really
it's
answer the
fucking
question.
retarded, dude.
Like, I think October 7th is kind of like a freak accident, right? Like, it was a
No,
massive
it's not a freak
intelligence.
accident. It was a planned attack.
Yeah, but I mean, on the Israeli side, it was like a massive intelligence failure.
Okay?
So,
Same with 9/11.
uh, how is it the same?
Well, what do you mean? The CIA and FBI had intelligence on a terror attack that was being planned by Al-Qaeda, but because of lack of communications between both organizations, they were able to successfully launch the attack. So it was an intelligence failure, similar to what happened on October 7th.
Right. Do you think that it would be reasonable to expect that it would happen again and again and again?
I don't know why you would think otherwise when they committed to doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't mean that Hamas wouldn't try again. What I mean is, do you think Israel would have these intelligence failures again and again?
It's possible.
I mean,
Like again, if you're giving these people unlimited opportunities to try again, I don't know why you think that would be impossible.
I do think it's possible. I do think it's possible. I guess I'm just worried that it's not likely. So I'm wondering, why do
Look,
you
dude,
think? Do you think it's likely? And
the
if so, why?
the only thing that maintains peace and order is force. Okay? If you're going to be a weak bitch pussy, and when 1,200 of your own citizens get fucking slaughtered, raped, and by the way, that's only 1,200 deaths. There were 13,000 wounded. So these are people who are going to likely suffer permanent debilitating injuries, people who've lost limbs, lost the ability to walk or move their fucking arms and legs, have amputations, PTSD, psychological issues, and you're telling me, oh, well, what's the likelihood they do it again? Guess what? If you let people get away with it, they are going to do it again, and they're going to keep trying. And if we have a culture where, oh, well, let's just let it go because we don't want to escalate things. The only thing that maintains order and peace is fucking force, strength, and power. If you don't exercise that, if you don't give consequences to people, if you don't fucking crack skulls, fucking kill people, make people regret what they fucking did, they're gonna keep doing it again and again and again, and you're gonna see more violence, more retarded shit, more assholes coming up and just doing nonsense. So there has to be consequences to these actions, okay? If we have a policy where, oh, well, it's an intelligence failure. Let's just increase airport security. Let's have better communication between our, CIA, FBI, or in the case of Israel, between Mossad and whatever other intelligence agencies. Let's not invade. Let's just, let it go. Well, what's going to happen? Like, you're just going to see more and more of this shit, okay? So you have to wipe out the fucking scumbags, and you have to eradicate them or hurt them so fucking bad that they will regret their decisions and never do it again, and make people so insanely fearful of the consequences that anybody who even has that idea of getting revenge is just too scared to fucking do it ever again. So again, if you want to live in a weak bitch cuck society where we just let assholes do whatever the fuck they want, then I guess go live in California or like any of these other bitch cuck libtard states where we just let criminals go loose. Oh, well, there's racial inequality and I don't know, DEI and institutional racism, and then these fuckers just go out on the street, commit more crimes, fuck with more people. Same thing happens with terrorists. If you let them get away with what they fucking do, then guess what? They're just gonna do more fucking terrorism, fuck with more people. They're gonna radicalize more people, and they're gonna give more dumbasses this idea that they can get away with this shit. So no, like you just have a weak mind, okay? Your whole view of the situation of think of the children, think of the innocent lives. Oh, it's going to create bigger problems. Well, you know what? They're the ones who should have fucking thought about that before they did it, okay? I don't care how many fucking innocent civilians end up dying in fucking Gaza for people to fucking learn that they can't fuck with Israel, okay? It's not Israel's fault that these people are fucking assholes. So, stop blaming Israel. Israel isn't the problem. These other people are the fucking problem. And if they are so fucking complacent and weak-minded that they're letting a fucking terrorist regime live in their land or in their country and do this retarded horseshit that puts them in jeopardy, then they're going to have to bear that burden.
Well, I definitely think that if October 7th became a repeat occurrence, then I think Israel would be like totally justified. Or if it was expected to. Like, I think obviously Israel should be able to prevent it from becoming a repeat occurrence.
What do you mean repeat occurrence? Like, you realize Israel has the fucking Iron Dome. There's rocket attacks going into Israel fucking constantly. Mossad and other intelligence agencies have to constantly prevent terror attacks from going on. Like there's literally 2 or 3 terror attacks that are foiled every fucking week because of these intelligence agencies. Like the amount of effort they're putting into to prevent terror attacks non-fucking stop is crazy. So, like, this idea, well, oh, if it happened again, let's just wait for another fucking terror attack, for another 1,200 fucking innocent people to fucking get slaughtered before we do anything. We'll let it slide, but let's just wait again and see if another 1,200 people get fucking massacred. Then we'll do something. Like, just, dude, you're a bitch. You're a fucking pussy, okay? Like, if you were dealing with a bully in school and he spat in your fucking face or, like, swirlied you in the toilet, are you going to wait for him to do it again before you beat his fucking ass and knock his teeth out?
I'd probably beat his ass, but I don't think I'd beat the ass of, like, the bystanders around him.
Look, dude. If you're going to take fucking horseshit from people because you're worried, oh, I might hurt somebody else, then you're going to get walked over, okay?
Alright. So, I think you've raised some very good points. I want to try and summarize it in my own words, and you can tell me if I've missed anything. I'll try and be quick. Is that alright?
Go for it.
Alright, so basically, you believe that Hamas will continue to successfully attack Israel if Israel doesn't invade them, and if Israel instead destroys Hamas, obviously they won't be able to attack Israel. That would also get rid of any further threat from Iran, that they're also doing something to destroy Iran's nuclear program. I don't know anything about that, really. And sort of further adding to this is that it's not really reasonable to expect Israel to pay, like, up to $500 million in a single month for defense. Meanwhile, the UK and Canada have sort of withdrawn support from Israel, and the only reason they're friendly with Egypt is because they had a war with Egypt and made a peace deal. So sort of all those things considered, you think that invading Gaza and wiping out Hamas justifies the cost of civilian lives. Is that, like, correct?
That's pretty accurate, but fundamentally, even if there wasn't like an existential issue or these other geopolitical considerations, if somebody fucks with you, you have to knock their goddamn teeth out, okay? If Israel gets attacked by a terrorist regime in Gaza or wherever, they have to respond with force. So this idea that, oh, let's let it go, maybe if it happens again, we'll do something about it. You're only encouraging more bad actors to do it again and again and again and create more fucking problems. It's not Israel's problem to deal with. It's not Israel's fault that innocent people in Gaza are fucking dying. It's Hamas's fault, so the blame should be put on them. Israel's doing exactly what they fucking should. When a bad actor fucks with you, you have to fuck with them back and fuck with them harder and make them feel enough pain so they don't do it again. If not, ideally exterminate them. So that's fundamentally my point. But yeah, there's other geopolitical issues that you should be concerned with too.
Right. But the main concern is that, like, if Israel doesn't do this, they'll keep suffering attacks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder, like, could you summarize what's like the strongest reason to expect that there'll be more attacks?
It, like, are you out of your fucking mind? There are terror attacks perpetrated against Israel constantly,
Oh, okay. So
like
let
on a
me be a
nearly
bit.
weekly basis by Hamas.
Okay, okay. Let me just clarify one thing. Do you think that the current like level of attacks that Israel is suffering from Hamas justifies their invasion? Like, even if like October 7th never happened, would you say that what they're
Oh
doing
yeah,
now is
absolutely.
justified?
They should have wiped him out way beforehand.
Ah, okay, right, okay. That changes the situation a lot, right? So in my head, I thought you were saying there'll be more attacks like October 7th, therefore it's justified. Okay, well, I mean,
Israel's invaded Gaza multiple times, dude.
right, okay. So yeah, that definitely changes the way I'm looking at this a lot because I mean, like to me, if there would be repeat attacks like October 7th, then I could see this being justified. But I mean, as terrible as it is for Israeli civilians to be killed, I don't think that I can really take the position that
Yeah, then you're a pussy.
hmm,
Then you're just a bitch. Dude, you're a weak, cucked pussy bitch. If you would never tolerate that sort of horseshit in your own fucking country. So, you're a complete fucking hypocrite. If you were living in a country, I don't know if I don't know where you live, but
I live in
in your
Australia.
country, yeah, if you were in Australia and there was a neighboring country right next to you that was lobbing rockets, uh, had a terrorist regime that wanted to wipe out all fucking white people, and they were committing bus bombings, they're doing everything to exterminate your entire race of people, and you had to spend if you had to have an iron dome and you were spending hundreds of millions of dollars a fucking month to operate it, there were frequent bus bombings, 20, 30 people being killed, mass shootings, shit like that. You would never fucking tolerate it. So you're a complete fucking hypocrite. All this is fucking anti-Semitism. Everyone holds Jews to a higher standard. They can't do that because they're fucking anti-Semites. They would never, ever in a million fucking years tolerate that kind of behavior from one of their neighbors. So the idea that Israel has to tolerate that fucking horseshit is just fucking retarded. And secondly, again, if you have this policy that, oh, we can't attack the terrorists because innocent people may be harmed, you're a pussy. Okay? It's not your fucking problem. It's their problem. If they cared about innocent people, then they can learn not to commit terror attacks. And maybe the citizens living amongst terrorists can learn to not be complacent fucking sheep and either be complicit or a lot of them actually support the terrorist regime. They can learn the hard way that you cannot allow terrorists to run the country, they can learn the hard way that they need to take political action, however way they need to eliminate a violent terrorist group, among their populace.
I mean, I definitely agree that if that was happening in Australia, we'd be justified in fighting back, but I'm not convinced that it would be justified at the expense of like 30,000 civilians, right? Like, I mean,
there's no data indicating 30,000 civilians died in Gaza.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, what I'm getting is like I think the BBC. There's like 43,000 Gazan deaths. It's like 70% civilians, so like 30,000 civilian
Yeah,
deaths.
cool. Yeah, okay. They're cucked. Fucking, the BBC is cucked.
What would you say?
Regardless,
A more
Israel
number
has
is?
the best. So sorry, Israel has the best militant to civilian casualty ratio out of any military that's ever engaged in urban combat. They're doing everything they need to reduce civilian casualties and target Hamas. I don't care if the civilian casualties go up to 100,000. If that's what they need to do to fulfill their military objective, then so be it. Those people can learn the hard way if they need to not be complacent or complicit with fucking terrorists, and they can learn to take political action against terrorism so that they don't have to deal with that.
Well, I mean,
Same with Nazi Germany. Dude, 500,000 German civilians died in World War II. So, you know what? If they want to elect the fucking Nazis, if they want to be complacent and let Hitler take power and keep their heads down and just go along with it, then they can learn the hard way that if they allow fascism to rise in their country, they're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. Not my fucking problem if some of my bombs land on your fucking roof.
Well, I definitely agree that like Israel is trying their hardest to minimize civilian casualties. That's why I said it's definitely not a genocide. I think the genocide take is like nuts. And I've had like my fair share of like altercations with people on uni campus who hold like pretty crazy like anti-Israel positions. So we're definitely in agreement there. Okay, so it's interesting that we disagree about the amount of civilians that are killed, but maybe that's not super relevant because you'd still hold your position even if it was 30,000. That's correct, right?
Yeah. I don't know why that matters. Who cares? It's their problem.
I mean, if it was like 1 trillion civilians that had been killed, surely you would agree, right? You're a threshold deontologist, right?
Well, what do you mean 1 trillion? Like there's not 1 trillion people on the planet.
Well,
are we talking about a hypothetical scenario where like Earth's population is like 100 times higher than it is?
Yeah, I'm just saying hypothetically, like
yeah. Then if the proportions are the same, then I still wouldn't care.
Well, I don't mean if the proportions are the same. I mean if there was, hypothetically, like basically what I mean is like at some point there would be enough Gazan civilians for you to think that what Israel is doing is unjustified. That's correct, right?
I'm still kind of confused with the question. Are you talking about a hypothetical scenario where Earth's population in every region is like, thousands of times higher than it is now? So the Gazan population, I think it's like what, 2.5 million. If it were 1 trillion, Israel's population is something like 20 million or something. If it was like 20 trillion, like, are we talking about the same like proportionate populations and same proportionate amount of deaths?
So in this hypothetical, all of Earth's population is the same, but there's like just 1 trillion civilians in Gaza, and they get killed as a result of this war.
So you're telling me as a result of the war, every single Gazan civilian dies, and it's 1 trillion.
In this hypothetical, yes.
If that's what's required for Israel to maintain its military objectives, then go for it.
Wow. Okay.
They have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to their own populace. Look, if the United States, if they were losing to Nazi Germany, and the Nazis never ended up going to war with Russia, and Russia was their ally, and there were 1 trillion German civilians, America would be totally justified in nuking to 1 trillion Germans in order to win that war. They have a responsibility to their own population.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'm just surprised to hear that. I mean, like now I'm kind of
Okay, let me ask you the counterfactual. If there were 1 trillion Germans, or let's say 10 trillion, we can make the number however high you want, Germany was winning, and the only way the Allies could win was with a super nuke, where they could nuke Germany off the map, so they'd end up killing 10 trillion Germans. Would you be in favor of the Allies nuking Germany, killing 10 trillion Germans?
right. That's tough.
Well, here's my position. I don't fucking care if Nazis die. And if I have to kill 10 trillion people to wipe off a fascist dictatorship, then so be it. Go fucking America. I'd rather live in a world where America exists and Nazi Germany doesn't. Same as with fucking Israel and Palestine. I'd rather live in a world where Israel exists and Palestine doesn't. So if Israel had to do that in order for Israel to still exist and be safe and maintain the safety of its population, then bye-bye Palestine. You're the ones who decided to elect fucking jihadist terrorists. You are the ones who decided to be complacent or complicit in their actions. And you are the ones who were thinking, oh, they're terrorists, but, they might kill me if I try to take political action against them. So I guess I'll let them do whatever they want. And, again, a lot of the Palestinian population are crazy Islamists, too. So a lot of them wanted to kill Jews. So, good riddance. Fuck you. Get fucked.
Okay, well, I kind of feel like we're at the point where, I mean, like the question you ask there at the end is, it's a powerful question. I really, at the moment, I feel like my answer is that I don't know, and I need to think about it further. I wish I could give you an answer, but I'm probably gonna raise these questions with people I know and get like a variety of responses. I think it'll probably take that to form my own opinion.
Oh yeah, I'm sure your dumb bitch friends will be like, that's so bad. He wants to kill civilians. No amount of civilian lives are justified for this conflict. Because they're fucking anti-Semites and they're pro-fascists. So I think you need better fucking friends.
I mean, there's a sense in which I do agree with that, because it is tough, pretty much everyone I know takes a very harsh anti-Israel position, so it is hard to get a range of views. But I want to see what they can say.
Look, dude. Wait. Look. Hamas could end this conflict whenever they want. All they have to do is lay down their arms and say, we're sorry, and not do it. But they won't. So, look, that's not Israel's fault. So if they want to get fucked, if they want to put other Palestinians at risk for it, and if Palestinians are complacent fucking morons and they let these idiots run their societies, then that's their burden to bear. So they can all get fucked.
Yeah, well, okay, I think basically I really appreciate you having this call with me. I think you raise a lot of interesting points. I'm sorry, but I do just sort of have to think about them. Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't think this, but hopefully I'm more reasonable than some of the other people you've talked to. I think those calls have been...
Well, you haven't outright said you want to kill all Jews like some people who have come on here.
Definitely not. So yeah, I guess we can pretty much end it here. I guess one final thing I'd like to say is um, you were actually the yeah, definitely the main reason I turned vegan, and that was
That's good.
almost 10 years ago. So yeah, probably like maybe the best decision I ever made in my
Hopefully,
life.
I'm the main reason you end up supporting Israel and telling pro-Palestine idiots to get fucked.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's at least reasonable to. It's at least reasonable to give me some time to think about it. Surely, right?
Yeah,
All right.
you can think about it.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your call. Are you cool if I upload this to my channel?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. All right. My channel is Mehta-Ethics, MEHTA. Have a good day,
Okay.
man. Goodbye.
All right, take care.